I'm Ambiola, 32, female. Man, let me tell you, life was good for me before this crap hit the fan. I was a laid-back and fun-loving person who had it all. I had a job I loved, a caring husband named James, and a fantastic relationship with my mother-in-law, Candace. Everything seemed fine and dandy, you know. For the first 3 years of my marriage, things were smooth sailing. James, my husband, and I were like two peas in a pod. We laughed together, supported each other's dreams, and created beautiful memories that I thought would last a lifetime. It felt like a fairy tale, and I couldn't have been happier. One of the best parts was my bond with Candace, my mother-in-law. She was a gem of a woman, always welcoming me with open arms, and we'd often spend weekends chatting and sipping on some delicious tea, both figurative and literal. I cherished those moments, genuinely believing that our relationship was as strong as it seemed. In fact, let me give you a taste of the good times. There was this one summer when James and I decided to take a road trip along the stunning California coastline. We laughed until our stomachs hurt, singing our favorite tunes as the wind whipped through our hair. The joy and love we shared during that adventure made me feel invincible. But, my friends, all good things must come to an end, or so they say. And let me tell you, that saying couldn't be truer for my seemingly perfect life. One fateful day, I stumbled upon a truth that shattered my illusions. One day, I was coming back home from work, and this is what happened. I tried opening the front door, but for some reason it appeared to be locked from the inside. I thought it was strange, since it normally wasn't locked, so I made my way to the back of the house to access the back door. As I approached the back door, curiosity gnawed at me like an insatiable itch. Something was off, and I couldn't ignore it. My steps slowed as I caught snippets of conversation drifting from inside the house. It was Candace and James talking about me. Naturally, my first thought was that they were planning a surprise for my upcoming birthday. Oh, how wrong I was. I pressed myself against the wall, eavesdropping on their conversation. The words that reached my ears felt like daggers to my heart. They weren't whispers of love or excitement. No, my dear friends. It was something entirely different. No, don't you see, James? We need to use Ambiola for this. You know what, Ma? You're right. I mean, it'll be foolproof, right? Of course, no one would suspect a thing. I continued to listen intently, my spidey senses sensing something wrong with this whole conversation. My heart sank, and a surge of disbelief washed over me as I stood frozen, absorbing the words that pierced through the closed door. The two people I trusted the most were planning something sinister, and they were going to involve me. They were discussing using me as their scapegoat in a huge fraud. The very thought made my blood run cold. James's voice, once filled with love and tenderness, now dripped with deceit as he detailed their twisted plans. We'll make it look like Ambiola was the mastermind behind it all. With her reputation and access to sensitive information, she'll be the perfect target. Candace's voice, usually warm and comforting, sounded cold and heartless as she chimed in. Yes, we can manipulate the evidence to make it appear as if Ambiola was involved from the beginning. Once the authorities catch wind of it, they won't hesitate to believe she's guilty. I was stunned, my mind reeling from the revelation. How could they do this to me? What had I done to deserve being entangled in their web of deceit? Questions flooded my thoughts, but the answers remained elusive. Anger surged within me, mingling with the hurt. They had locked the front door to prevent me from discovering their vile plot, to keep me in the dark while they schemed against me. It was a betrayal of the highest order, and I couldn't fathom how my own husband and mother-in-law could stoop so low. Tears welled up in my eyes as the shock gave way to a resolute determination. I refused to believe that this was the truth, that the people I loved and trusted had such malicious intentions. But the evidence before me was undeniable, and I had to face the harsh reality. Another feeling that I was feeling was pure confusion. What exactly did they think they were going to do? Did they think they could outsmart me? Me? A literal detective? Unraveling the truth and working on cases involving people like my husband and mother-in-law was my literal job. I had the skills and knowledge to see through their deception and fight back. Hard. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for the confrontation that lay ahead. With the upper hand now, having overheard James and Candace's nefarious conversation, I made my way back to the front of the house. I dialed James's number, my heart pounding in my chest as I waited for him to answer. Hello? Hey, I am at the front door and it's locked. Can you let me in? There was a moment of silence on the other end, and I could almost sense James's surprise. Of course, babe. Coming. Sorry about that. Within moments I heard the door being unlocked and James appeared before me, a wide smile on his face as if nothing was amiss, but behind his facade I could see the darkness lurking, the knowledge of his treachery weighing heavy on my heart. I played the part, pretending to be unaware of the conversation I had just overheard. Hey, babe, I thought you were out. James beamed at me, his eyes glimmering with deceit. I just finished work early, so I decided to come back home and relax. As we exchanged pleasantries, my mind raced with conflicting emotions. Candace's presence in the kitchen only added to the turmoil. She played the doting mother-in-law, offering kind words and well wishes. I played along, engaging in small talk, while inside I seethed with anger and sadness. Once Candace bid her farewell and left for the evening, I found solace in the bathroom. The familiar walls provided a temporary refuge as I allowed myself to break down, tears streaming down my face. It was a stark contrast to the stoic demeanor I maintained in my detective work, a reminder that even the safest of spaces could be tainted by deceit. In that vulnerable moment, I vowed to gather more evidence, to dig deeper into the web of lies that had entangled my marriage and my relationship with Candace. I couldn't let their wicked plans come to fruition. It was time to unveil their true intentions, protect myself, and seek justice. Wiping away my tears, I emerged from the bathroom with renewed determination. No longer would I be the unsuspecting victim. I would confront James and Candace head-on, unravel their scheme, and ensure that their deceit would not go unpunished. I threw myself into my work as a detective, using my skills to gather more evidence against James and Candace. Determined to expose their treachery, I began wiring our home, strategically placing cameras and microphones in hidden locations. Every nook and cranny became a potential source of crucial information. During one of my shifts at work, I stumbled upon a disturbing revelation. Candace, it seemed, had been visiting our house regularly, engaging in secret discussions with James about their wicked plan. It became clear that James was intentionally skipping work, using his time to conspire with his mother against me. As I dug deeper into the details, the puzzle pieces started to come together. I discovered their intricate plot, their scheme to make me the scapegoat for a massive fraud. It sickened me to the core, realizing that the man I once loved and the woman who had treated me with kindness were capable of such betrayal. Each day brought new revelations, and I diligently collected and documented the evidence. I became a master of organization, meticulously compiling every incriminating piece of information. My determination only grew stronger with each discovery, fueling my desire to expose their deceit and protect myself from their malicious intentions. The wires and cameras became my allies, capturing every interaction, every whisper that unfolded between James and Candace. Their conversations revealed their true colors, showcasing the depth of their malevolence. With each recording, I added another layer of evidence to the growing pile, building a case that would shatter their facade and bring their dark plans to light. Late nights were spent poring over the footage, transcribing conversations and connecting the dots. I couldn't rest until I had gathered enough proof to expose their true intentions and clear my name. The weight of the situation pushed me to my limits, but I remained resolute, fueled by the desire for justice. The days turned into weeks, and my compilation of evidence grew. Every detail, every hint of their malicious intent was carefully preserved. I knew that soon the time would come to confront them, to lay bare the truth they had tried so hard to conceal. But I wanted them to suffer. This wasn't just any other case to me. This was personal. I arrived home after another long day at work, hoping to find some solace amidst the chaos that had infiltrated my once happy life. As I stepped through the front door, I noticed Candace and James huddled together on the couch, their voices hushed and their demeanor seemingly secretive. Suppressing my irritation, I decided to play it cool and approached them with a nonchalant smile. "Hey, what's going on?" I asked, feigning innocence, though deep down I knew their conversation likely revolved around me. Candace and James exchanged a quick glance, their faces displaying a hint of guilt. James quickly responded, "Oh, we were just discussing some business investments, nothing too exciting." I nodded, playing along with their lie, even though my gut told me otherwise. I took a seat beside them, and, as if on cue, their conversation abruptly halted. It was clear they didn't want to discuss their true intentions in my presence. Feeling a touch of pettiness, I decided to push their discomfort further. I leaned back, smirking slightly, and said, "You know, it's funny how good I am at my job. I always manage to catch the bad guy, no matter how well they try to hide." James shifted uncomfortably in his seat while Candace attempted to maintain her composure. Their discomfort only fueled my determination to expose their deceit. "Yeah, I've seen firsthand what happens to those who cross my path. They end up in the worst parts of jail, regretting the day they thought they could outsmart me." Silence hung in the air, the tension growing palpable. I could see the unease in their eyes, their guilt, trying to find a way to hide. It was a small victory, a way for me to assert myself and let them know that I was onto them. In that moment, I felt a flicker of empowerment, a glimmer of strength. The evidence I had carefully collected loomed large in my mind, reminding me that I held the key to exposing their true nature. They may have tried to deceive me, but they underestimated my resourcefulness and determination. As the awkward silence lingered, I knew I had struck a nerve. Their facade was crumbling, and the truth was inching closer to the surface. It was only a matter of time before their web of lies would unravel, and I would be the one standing tall, ready to confront them with the damning evidence I had amassed. But for now, I would bask in the discomfort I had stirred within them. They would never suspect that their victim had transformed into a formidable opponent, armed with knowledge and ready to bring their treachery to light. The game had shifted in my favor, and I was prepared to play it to the end. The weeks passed by, and my collection of evidence grew steadily. It was apparent that Candace and James were preparing to execute their malicious plan, their confidence soaring as they believed they had me trapped. Little did they know that their every move was being monitored, their words captured on hidden cameras and microphones. One evening, as I listened in through the surveillance feed, I couldn't help but burst into laughter. Their smugness and self-congratulatory remarks filled the room, oblivious to the fact that my team of trusted allies was waiting for the signal to strike. It was the perfect moment, the calm before the storm, and I reveled in the knowledge that the tables were about to turn. With a flicker of excitement and determination in my eyes, I relayed the cue to my team. Through a discreet communication device, I directed them to move in swiftly to break down the doors and confront Candace and James with the weight of their treachery. The sound of splintering wood filled the air as my team stormed into action. Candace's shrill screams and James's bewildered pleas for answers echoed through the house. a stark contrast to their previous confidence. They were forced to the ground, immobilized by the sudden turn of events. Candace, her face contorted with fear and tears streaming down her cheeks, could only cry out in disbelief. James, his voice trembling with confusion, demanded an explanation for this dramatic intrusion. One of the crew had held up a phone which I was connected to. "James, Candace, I can see you." "Abiola? What the heck is going on?" "You can cut the innocence act now, James. I've been on to you from the very start." What do you mean?" I don't know what's worse, the fact that you did this to your own wife, or the fact that you thought that I wouldn't be the one to catch you." "I'm a detective, for Christ's sake." "Abiola, oh God, Abiola, please forgive us. We're so sorry." "Shut up, Mom." "You thought you could use me as your scapegoat, that I would be a pawn in your twisted game? But you underestimated my strength, my resilience. I'm not the victim you believed me to be." As the truth of their intentions unfolded before them, their faces twisted with a mix of guilt and fear. The walls they had so meticulously built to deceive me were crumbling, and they were left to face the consequences of their deceit. With James and Candace apprehended and escorted to the police station, their once confident demeanor had crumbled, replaced by the reality of their actions. Handcuffed and disheveled, they were mere shadows of the individuals who had plotted to bring me down. As we stood face to face in the cold, sterile environment of the police station, I couldn't help but feel a mix of emotions. Part of me pitied them, recognizing the desperation and misguided choices that had led them to this point. But their apologies fell on hardened ears, for I knew that I had to protect myself and maintain the distance that their deceit had forged between us. "You thought you could destroy my life with your fraudulent schemes, but I refused to sacrifice my hard-earned reputation for the likes of you." James and Candace pleaded with me, their voices filled with remorse and regret. They begged for forgiveness, their words an outpouring of desperation to salvage any semblance of the relationships we once shared. But their pleas fell on deaf ears, for the trust they had shattered could never be fully repaired. The officers stood nearby, their watchful eyes ensuring the safety and order of the situation. Sensing that the time for further conversation had passed, I instructed them to take James and Candace away to face the legal repercussions of their actions. As they were led away, their expressions filled with a mixture of shame and resignation. I couldn't help but reflect on the journey that had brought us to this point. What once seemed like a perfect life had been tainted by deceit and betrayal. The web of lies they had woven had unraveled, leaving behind a tangled mess that required time and healing to mend. Walking away from the station, I felt a sense of liberation and relief. The weight of their deceit had been lifted from my shoulders, allowing me to move forward and rebuild my life on the foundation of truth and resilience. Their attempt to ruin me had only served to strengthen my resolve and reinforce my commitment to justice. As the divorce proceedings with James commenced, I was determined to sever all ties with the man who had once been my partner in life. The legal process mirrored the dissolution of our trust and love, leaving me with a sense of finality and closure. While James awaited trial for his crimes, I focused on rebuilding my life, free from the toxic influence that had plagued our relationship. The courtroom became my stage as I sat confidently in the front row during both Candace and James's trials. Their pitiful glances and attempts to garner sympathy were met with a smirk and a wave, a silent reminder of the strength I had found within myself. No longer would I allow their actions to define me or hold power over my emotions. James, who had once been my rock, was revealed as a snake in the grass. The resentment I held towards him simmered beneath the surface, fueling my determination to move forward without looking back. I realized that his deceit and betrayal were never a reflection of my worth, but rather a manifestation of his own character flaws. As I navigated the aftermath of James and Candace's trials, something unexpected happened. Word spread about my role in unraveling their deceitful schemes, and recognition started pouring in. Colleagues, friends, and even strangers admired my courage and resilience in taking down my own family members. It was a difficult thing to do, exposing the dark underbelly of my own blood, but I knew it was necessary for my own liberation. The local news caught wind of the sensational story, and I found myself being interviewed about the ordeal. Reporters praised my bravery and determination, emphasizing the significance of bringing justice to those who had deceived me. It was humbling to receive such recognition, knowing that my actions had resonated with others who had faced similar betrayals. My superiors at work took notice as well. They saw in me not just a detective, but a symbol of strength and integrity. I was commended for my unwavering commitment to upholding the law, even in the face of personal turmoil. The promotion that followed was not just a reward for my professional capabilities, but also a validation of my character and resilience. Meanwhile, behind the bars of their prison cells, James and Candace faced the grim reality of their future. Gone were the days of their lavish lifestyle and deceitful escapades. They were left to grapple with the consequences of their actions, imprisoned by their own greed and manipulation. The once carefree and jovial James now wore a haunted expression. His charismatic charm faded in the harsh reality of incarceration. The weight of his choices bore down on him, and I couldn't help but feel a twinge of satisfaction, knowing that he could no longer escape the consequences of his actions. Candace, who had once exuded an air of grace and superiority, now found herself stripped of her illusions of power. Behind bars, she faced the stark truth that money and influence could not shield her from the repercussions of her crimes. I imagined her nights filled with restless sleep, haunted by the choices that had led her to this point. Their future in prison loomed ahead, a stark contrast to the lives they had once led. While they faced the monotony and harsh realities of life behind bars, I found solace in the fact that justice had been served. Their punishment served as a reminder to them and others that no one is above the law. As I reflected on the journey I had undertaken, I couldn't help but acknowledge the personal growth and strength that had emerged from the chaos. Taking down my own family members was not an easy task, but it had unleashed a resilience within me that I hadn't known existed. I had triumphed over the darkness that had threatened to consume me, emerging from the shadows with my head held high. The recognition I received was not just a pat on the back. It was a testament to my ability to confront difficult truths and rise above them. I had transformed from a victim to a victor. And in doing so, I had discovered a strength that would guide me on my journey to a brighter future.